Hey yappers, welcome back to Binge Yap Repeat. Today, Ruchi and I are yapping all about season 2 of the 4 seasons. We yap about Anne and Ginny's strange but heartwarming relationship, how the show would have gone if Nick was still around, Claude and Danny's communication issues, and Kate and Jack's tendency to shield each other from their emotions. Despite how it may seem in the beginning of this episode, I really did love this season of the show. Get ready because our episode starts now.
Hello, yappers, and welcome back to another episode of Binge Yap Repeat. I'm Ruchi.
And I'm Shalini.
And this week's episode is all about 4 seasons, season 2. Shalini, do you think they will actually have 4 seasons of 4 seasons?
Ooh, that's a good question. I could see that happening. Yeah, I feel
hope
like
so.
yes. You do hope so? Okay. Yeah, I guess we can talk about it.
You said that as a leading question.
Interesting.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's get into it and we can talk about why you said that. The 4 Seasons is an American comedy drama series created by Tina Fey, Lang Fisher, and Tracy Wigfield for Netflix, starring Tina Fey, Coleman Domingo, and Will Forte. It is an adaptation of the 1981 film of the same name, which was written and directed by Alan Alda, who actually does have a guest role in the series and had some cameos here and there. This episode is about season 2, which premiered May 28th, 2026. As always, this is a spoiler-friendly zone, so if you haven't binged or if you care about spoilers, hit pause, go binge, and come back when you're ready to yap with us. Pause for dramatic effect. Okay, Shalini, do you think that season 2 did justice to our cast of characters?
I think it did as much justice as a season 2 could do for this show, I think. You know, at the end of season 1, one of the best characters on the show dies, and also the whole season 1 was based off of a movie that was kind of an open and shut case with an ending. And so I do think I enjoyed it, to be clear. It was really good. I don't know if we need a season 3 because I feel like all of the relationship dynamics have been really, really dissected at this point, and I don't think anyone's really growing. I don't think anyone really grew in this season. With the exception of maybe Anne at the very end, but it was literally episode 8 that I felt like she really grew. So, yeah, I mean, I will say what I liked about it was obviously the cast is very funny. The filming locations were really pretty, and I just loved the variety of places that they filmed at and had their vacations in. I also really like that the show highlights interpersonal conflicts in an age range that we don't see very often. Late stage you've been married for 20 plus years and you're still having these little conflicts. So I like that aspect. And I would say the conflicts do feel really real. They don't feel contrived and simply written for a TV show, but that would never actually happen in real life because people communicate better than that. It's like they all feel pretty real. Okay, what I didn't love about it, I already said this. I don't think any of the characters really evolved very much. 2, it's so unrealistic that they kept in touch with Ginny. That would never happen, especially Anne. I don't think that would have happened in real life. And not enough Steve Carell. Those are my complaints.
That's fair. We did get a surprise Steve Carell episode, which I was really happy about.
And that came at the perfect time, too, because I think at the end of the first Thanksgiving episode 5, I was like, dang it, I wish Steve Carell was in this season. And then he showed up in the next episode.
Okay, let's talk about, you said you had some hot takes in there. Okay, let's talk about not keeping in touch with Ginny. Okay, so you think that they would have just not included Ginny at all on the trip to scatter Nick's ashes?
Maybe to scatter Nick's ashes, but I don't think she would have continued being a part of the group. And I feel like they wouldn't have made an effort to make her part of the group. They would have just been like, hey, we're going to this place to scatter his ashes. we would love for you to be there, but it would be like cordial, but not like inclusive and friendly.
But I think that was the point of the first episode, right? So the rest of the group, with the exception of Jack, all thought that this was like a one-time deal, that they were including Ginny on their trip and that they would go and scatter the ashes and come back down and Ginny would not be a part of their group anymore. But then Jack was like, yeah, like we should do this every year because Ginny was a huge part of Nick's life. Of course she should be invited. And everyone else was like, I don't know about this, Jack. And we also saw in episode 1 that that Ginny and Anne were extremely at odds, involving legal to get involved with their whole situation. They were like suing each other. They were not like, they had a lot of conflict about like giving money to each other. It was like a big thing, right? So I think the whole point of that like that part was to show that yeah, maybe in an ideal world, like they would not have any connection with each other, but then they realize that they need each other, or that Anne needs Ginny to be a part of her life because she can't, like, Ginny is having a really hard time being a single mom otherwise.
I'm still not bought into, like, I understand why they did it and why they set it up that way, but I just don't think it's realistic. I think they would have, like, they didn't even like Ginny in season 1. Now like Anne's suddenly living with her. It just seemed unrealistic to me.
But I think that was like the whole point of, is like Anne realizes that she has zero executive function. She has no idea what to do with the rest of Nick's estate. And Ginny is obviously struggling, being like trying to be a single mom. And so I think in the summer season, we see that, okay, Anne and Ginny are like trying to make this co-parenting thing work. Like they've made the decision that they're going to live together and they're like trying to make it work, but there's still some tension in terms of who's doing what, like what's the roles and responsibilities. Anne doesn't want to live her own life because she feels like she has to be a second mom to Gino. And then Ginny's like, I'm okay with this. Haha. um, and then by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, we see that they do actually really like each other. Like they've lived together for so long that they have co-parented together, that they have a really good relationship, but it's a little codependent and Ginny needs to get out of the house and have her own life. But it doesn't mean they don't have to be, it doesn't mean that they have to be enemies, but there is a relationship there, an unexpected relationship that has developed. I think that was the purpose, is that neither of them wanted it to happen, but it happened.
I totally hear you, and I agree. That's exactly how they laid it out. I just don't think it would happen in real life. I
Okay,
still
fair
don't
enough.
think it would happen. Like they said in the show, you're not supposed to be friends with the woman your dead husband left you for.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so now let's get into that one flashback episode, because I think this is related. In that flashback episode, we realize that Nick has been having affairs um outside of the marriage with Anne for quite some time. There was like someone in the country club, there was like this other random person who was his coworker, and Anne like has seen the signs coming.
She actually brought that up in season 1.
I didn't remember that actually.
Okay, yeah, I watched a 10-minute recap of season 1 to make sure I was prepared going into season 2 because I didn't remember very much. So this happens in the fall episodes, when they go back to their college for a reunion. And this is also the episode where Anne kisses Jack, and then but Kate's not threatened by it, and she just like finds it kind of funny. But Anne is in a really low place because Nick has brought Ginny to the college reunion, and that's like the first time Anne is confronting with him, and Ginny at the same time. Anyway, so Anne kisses Jack, then she and Kate have this heart to heart on the steps, and Anne tells Kate that Nick has been cheating on her for years, and it's happened with many women.
Wow, I totally forgot that.
Yeah, I had forgotten that too. So I think this Thanksgiving, the little Thanksgiving episode, was kind of just like unpacking all of that and how it happened. Yeah.
Mm,
And the fact that not only did she know about it, they had actually talked about it and she still didn't leave.
yeah. And so you think because of that, acceptance, it's even more unlikely that she would not be friends with Ginny.
I don't know if that makes it more unlikely. I just don't think it. I just don't like. Yeah, I don't need to belabor this point, but regardless of how much that changed things, I just don't think it's likely.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I will say I do think Anne is a very different person than either of us.
Yeah.
I think especially when she was like dealing with the aftermath of Nick's death, and she was like, "Yeah, I received a binder of all these things, and instead of, like acting on them, I threw the binder in the freezer." I was like, "Whoa."
Oh no. Oh, Anne.
Yeah. So I think to that point, like maybe Anne is just more of an accepting person than we are.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, also in the Little Thanksgiving episode, so you know how at the very beginning of the show, when Nick tells his dude friends that he's planning on leaving Anne, he explains that she's just given up on life and he doesn't want to be like sucked down with her into this just like old age and accepting that they're old and not really like wanting to do things anymore. He's like, she doesn't want to do anything. She never wants to go swimming. All she wants to do is play Farmville on her iPad. I feel like in the Little Thanksgiving episode, we actually saw her with a lot of character and interests and stuff. And I'm like, how did that change in 5 years? I guess 5 years
Yeah.
is a long time, but something about post COVID, her daughter growing up and leaving the house just really shrunk her world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. But I mean, we did also see that during that time, in the COVID Thanksgiving, he was like, "Oh, I'm in love with my wife." Like things are really great between the two of them.
Yeah.
So we do know that he did feel that way when she was a vivacious persona, but
Yeah.
now in like fast forward 5 years when she's just playing Farmville on her iPad, it's like the spark has died a little bit in those five
Yeah.
years.
So it's basically pretty true to what he said. He was like, she's given up and she's not the
Yeah.
same person I married. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I will say I know that you think it's unrealistic, but I really loved how Anne and Ginny found family with each other.
yeah, it was sweet. It was kind of like in Remarkably Bright Creatures, how the guy that needs a mom finds a mom and the woman that needs a son finds a son.
Yeah. Okay, so like just focusing in on Anne and Ginny a little bit more and how
And
they have
suspending my
evolved
disbelief.
and suspending your disbelief. We love you for doing that. Going through spring and winter, there is definitely an evolution of the relationship. And Anne and Ginny have their own core conflict, which is kind of resolved by the end. So in spring, we see that Anne and Ginny are extremely at odds with each other, but by summer, it's kind of resolved, but a little bit of a codependent relationship. By autumn, Anne is filling her house with random Thanksgiving guests like Terry and ends up kicking Ginny out of the house for good, for her own benefit. And then in winter, we go to La Befana, um, where Anne decides to stay in Italy after kind of too late texting with Mark Brett. So, several questions here. Actually, one side note, La Befana is truly the most perfect storytelling I have ever seen. I thought that was it was perfect. It was like, it felt like this was 2 seasons of lead up that led to La Befana, you know what I mean? Like, Claude had to be Italian because there is an Italian legend about La Befana, and then Anne had to look like La
It
Befana
was
with, like,
so
the
perfect.
plaid coats, like, everything, it fell into place. I was like, this is the magic of Tina Fey right here, and it is manifested in La Befana.
I will say that, okay, I'm Googling pictures of La Befana, and I think the La Befana figurines they showed in the show look much more like Anne than the real La Befana figurines.
Because, like, she had, like, short straw hair, and then other La Befana has, like, gray, like, long gray hair with a hood or something.
Yeah, and the face. I feel like they really played up the La Befana figurine face to like have Anne's cheekbones and stuff. But the real La Befana.
The real fake La Befana, you mean? The real fictional. The real
Correct,
fictional La
correct, correct.
Befana.
Okay. Fictional La Befana figurines that exist in Italy are more like I keep seeing this face
Oh, I
everywhere.
see.
So
Like
it's a little different.
the hair is not as straw blonde yellow sticking out like Anne's
Yes.
hair is.
Correct. And she doesn't have that like Anne smile with her high cheekbones that they so perfectly when Danny holds up the figurine right behind her and she smiles and it just becomes the same face.
It was
So funny.
perfect.
Oh, I guess there is one like that.
There you
There you
go.
go. There you
There
go.
you go.
So I so agree with you. The magic of Tina Fey is so brilliant.
Amazing. I was like, this is the best thing ever. I loved how they played into that. But yeah, I thought it was really nice. And I think going back to your point about how we see these conflicts in an age group that we generally don't see on TV, and we see it portrayed in a very realistic way. I think this is one of them where Anne kind of just feels like, my life is behind me, and so there's no reason for me to go see baby Jesus when the three magi knock on my door.
Yeah.
And I can just stay in the house and catch up on chores. Yeah, I think that's like very much a valid concern with a lot of older people. So I
Hmm.
really appreciate Tina Fey kind of shedding light on that. Or I guess not just Tina Fey, but the writers of the Four Seasons shedding light on that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think her storyline was the only one I wasn't a little. And to be clear, I really did like this season and I enjoyed every episode, but her storyline was the only one that felt fresh to me, where, she is really growing and evolving and she was so selfless in helping Ginny with this baby, but then she realized she was kind of using that as a crutch, and then
Yeah.
she sends Ginny off because she knows that that's not good for either of them, and then she decides to stay in Italy. Like she just went through much more of a transformation this season, and I think she was my least favorite character from last season, and probably my most favorite character from this season.
Agreed. Yeah. She really glowed up this season. I'm very proud of her for that. So I did have two questions for you about Anne. So the first question is, why do you think she waited so long to text Mark Brett? She waited, what, 6 months? Assuming.
Yeah, it's a good question. Okay, actually, I think it was more like 4 months because they kept talking about the end of the summer. And then this was right before Christmas. So, yeah, I think it was more like 4 months. But I think at that point, like the only reason she was so open to the experience with Mark is because she had told herself, this is only a situation that would happen while I'm on vacation. This is not real life. I will live this fantasy for the next few days because this is not real life. And so I think she just convinced herself that it would never work in real life. And I don't know if she was really open to a relationship at that point. Like, I think she was so entangled in the Ginny and Gino of it all that she wasn't really thinking about what she wants in terms of her own companionship. So I think that it took her a while to realize that. And like you said, I think at that point she had also just like, that was the same season. I think it was in summer when she said, like, I'm so glad all that dating stuff is behind me. And all her friends are like, is she giving up on dating forever? So I think it just took her a while to come out of that mindset.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess I'm a little surprised that she did wait so long because when she really beat herself up for not getting Mark Brett's number. And then she found out that Mark Brett did leave his number on the back of the rubber ducky. And then she was like, oh my God. And then kind of the episode ends. And so I feel like the viewer was led to believe that she would act on that because she, like, had such a struggle being like, oh my God, why did I get his number? I'm so dumb. Like, I have zero executive function. And then, oh, I actually do have his number. Yay. And then you would imagine that step 3 is let me then text him. But I guess maybe this is going back to the point of Anne not having a lot of executive function. And so she's just like not going to act on
Yeah. Yeah.
the number, which is so frustrating.
And it's right there.
Yeah, poor Anne. My second question is, why do you think that she decided to stay in Italy?
Okay, I guess I think, was it her conversation with Ginny? Yeah, I think it was her conversation with Ginny after she was telling Ginny about her sending photos to Mark Brett, and then, and she was like, "But all the photos are a lie. I'm not living that life, blah, blah, blah." And then Ginny was like, "Those photos aren't a lie. You actually did do all of those things." She's like, "Oh, yeah." And then I think she just had this realization that her life is what she wants to make of it.
Hmm.
And she already told Mark Brett she's gonna live there. And so I don't know what compelled her to do that, but that was hilarious.
Yeah.
But then once she was like, "My life is what I want to make of it, and I do have the option to just stay. Like my daughter is busy over the holidays. She's in college. My friends have their own lives. It's just me. Like, what do I have to lose?" So I think, yeah, she's just something flipped a switch in her, and she was like, "Wow, I should do what I want."
Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing that was a little bit like, oh, okay, this is a TV show and it's a little too neat is the fact that her neighbor is John Perro.
Oh yeah,
I was like, what? Out of all of like the realistic core conflicts that this show brings to light,
yeah,
the romantic in me loved that they had that. But also, I was like, this is not exactly what Four Seasons is
right.
about, I feel. But I do love that they put that in there and it made like a
Yeah.
cute little bow. Like, oh my God, Anne is going to date John Perro. Maybe. Who knows?
Also, David Tennant. So random.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Crazy.
They really brought him in for 2 seconds. So I guess we will get a season 3 because they're not just gonna do that for no reason.
Yeah. I hope we do. I hope we get 4 seasons. I do want to see more of these core conflicts from a different perspective. I do think
Mm.
it's super refreshing. I think you had said that Anne was the most refreshing and that the others kind of had like the same beleaguered or what is it, belabored conflicts, but I actually disagree with that. I want to move on to Claude and Danny.
Okay.
I think they had a very interesting line, which I hadn't really thought about. So, Claude and Danny's core conflict was going back and forth about having kids, deciding not to have kids, realizing that that conflict was part of a bigger conflict, which is that Danny tends to take decisions for the couple. Um, and Claude is kind of just forced to go along with it. There is one point, or like, I think it was in the spring episode, where Danny is talking to Kate about how like gay relationships are so different from hetero relationships when it comes to wanting a child and adopting a child because you have to be 100% committed every step of the way. And it's therefore harder than hetero relationships where it kind of feels like once you've made the decision, like train has left the station. So like even if you feel like you have doubts, train's left the station. You can't do anything about it, which
Mm.
I actually thought was a really good point.
Mm.
It was like a more refreshing take, like a different perspective that I hadn't really thought about before.
Right. It's not like you can make the decision and then you get 9 months to prepare for that decision and then it's here. It's like you make the decision and either it happens or it doesn't, and the happening or doesn't can happen very quickly. And so I can imagine it's much scarier for people who are adopting, whether they're queer or not, I guess, to just like suddenly be like, okay, I'm getting a kid now. Oh my god, and just knowing that that could happen at any moment, I would feel a lot of anxiety over that as well.
Yeah. And then same with like the surrogacy. I feel like there's
Yeah,
especially maybe in like a gay men relationship, like there are so many options. There's like, oh, like who's gonna be the dad? Like,
yeah,
how do we do this? And then who is gonna be the mom? Like, who do we trust as a surrogate? Like, is this person okay? Like, we have to have interviews. And I feel like it is similar on a hetero relationship side, but yeah, I do feel like there are so many more questions.
yeah. There are more questions, and just like it's a very intentional decision where in a hetero relationship, it's usually intentional, but like oftentimes things just happen. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, gotta make the most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting perspective. I hadn't really thought about that,
Yeah.
so I was glad. Okay, so for Claude and Danny in the spring, they had this whole conversation about kids. They were kind of like that Spider-Man meme where it was like, "Oh, you were the one who didn't want to have kids." Like, "Oh, you were the one who actually didn't want to have kids." They were like, "Okay, let's give it a shot. Let's have a kid." Um, by the time summer comes around, they're realizing that they are they are serious about having kids, but they're kind of too old and maybe the window has passed for them to have a child. And then they realize at the end of the summer season that it's a little too late for them and it's not right for them to have a kid. So they decide to not go forward with having a kid. And this is like the first time that Claude feels like he has a voice in the relationship,
Mm.
which is very nice. Um, and then in the autumn, they decide to move to Italy and they start telling their friends about it. Um, and the flashback episode goes back to them adopting Patricia, the dog,
Patricia!
Patricia, and giving the dog up to the lesbians who live down the road. What do you think that symbolized? Was it like kind of confirmation that having kids was not right for them?
I think it could be that. I think it's also confirmation that their communication is terrible, which we also saw in season 1, and this episode was supposed to happen before season 1, so it makes sense. Um, but yeah, just that, like, they're not handling conflicts like a mature couple. They're, like, going behind each other's back and making decisions unilaterally, and both of them talked about that in every single episode until I would say until they moved to Italy, um, which is, like, "Oh, like, should I do this without telling Claude, or should I do this without telling Danny?" And everyone's like, "No." But they kept doing
Kept
it.
doing it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my God. That was so insane when Danny was sitting on the couch and was like, I'm going to email the surrogate and tell him that everything's a go. I was like, how could you do that?
Crazy. Crazy.
And even Kate was like, oh my God. Like, you could just push through it or hear me out. You can address Claude's concerns.
You can talk to your partner about something that directly affects them.
Yes, yes. And the fact that he was like, I'm going to push through it. I was like, Danny, that is so obviously the wrong answer.
This is why I felt like the conflicts felt really, like, recycled for a lot of them, because they did feel real. Like, this is, I'm sure, conflicts that people go through all the time, but it just felt like until that scene in the hospital when Danny is telling his mom, "This is the only thing Claude has ever asked for, blah blah blah." Like, that's the only time you see Danny evolving. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's like exactly what they went through in season 1, where, Danny was not taking care of his health. Claude was upset about it. Like, that was their main conflict in season 1. And it was exactly the same thing. Like, they're not communicating, they're building resentment, and then something happens and it, like, somehow resolves. But yeah, no growth.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I mean, I do like how, sorry, I like went in two different directions. I think by the time winter rolled around, we did have finally some resolution where
Mhm.
Danny, without knowing that Claude was there, was talking to his mom about, hey, mom, you have to come live with us in Italy. There was no conversation about, we have to move back from Italy to
Yeah.
Philadelphia to come take care of you. It was always like, you have to come to Italy because that's where our home is.
Yeah.
And like, this is really important for me and Claude to be together, is for you to come to Italy. That's the only reason, that's the only way that we would have our cake and eat it too, basically. I thought that was really lovely. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That was kind of the first time that we saw that kind of evolution in Danny.
Episode 8 of season 2. Why has it
Yeah.
taken so long to get there?
But that was kind of, I feel like that was the pacing of the season, right? It was like by the time episode 8 rolled around, you had to have some resolution or like some very big change. And it did not
Yeah.
happen gradually. It was like
Yeah,
the stakes got higher until it had to happen, basically.
that is true. I guess my argument is it should have happened in season 1.
That's fair. It
Yeah.
was like, it was a different flavor of the same conflict that they had in season 1.
Yeah.
But in season 1, did they not address it? I
I'm
guess
trying
they
to
didn't address
remember.
it because Nick died, and so there was no way to have any kind
Yeah,
of
that's
resolution.
right. I think everything just got put on pause because of Nick's death. Yeah, that's true. Okay. You know what? That changes my perspective a little bit because I can see how a death in a closely knit friend group can like really stunt everyone's growth for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I rescind some of my complaints.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay. Still don't think Anne and Ginny would be friends.
And that's where you can put your flag. Okay, yeah, so by the time just closing the loop on Danny and Claude's chapter. So by the time winter comes around, Danny has shown a lot of growth and goes back to Philly to take care of his mom. And Claude also shows some spine by going against Danny's direct orders, we should say, and going to Philly to support Danny, even though Danny was like, you don't have to come, you don't have to come. And then Danny was like, I'm really glad you're here. So sweet.
That was so sweet. Claude is such an angel. Also, it was really cute how happy he was in Italy. He was like, I have
Yeah.
Danny here. I have my family here. I'm so happy. And Jack is like, you're different here. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm different in America. This is me. Oh.
Also, Italian Claude can get it.
Agreed. Agreed.
Oh my God.
I was with
Anne,
Anne.
Anne was right. I was like, he is different here. I'm attracted to Italian Claude.
Italian Claude's bossy.
Yeah. Okay, also two things. One, I laughed so hard when they were in the hospital scene and Aunt Pam like leaned back underneath the hand sanitizer. Just like
That was
did not react as it.
comedic gold. She's like, I can take care of myself. Ching, 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 ching.
And then Claude was like, oh my God. And she just doesn't react at all. I laughed so hard.
Oh my God. That was, I think that was the funniest moment in the whole show. That was
Yep.
so funny.
Also, because those things barely work anyway, to be really honest.
Why did it suddenly decide to work so well? But when I want a little hand sandy, can't get any.
So you're going up and down, side to side. Oh man. Okay, and then the second thing, Andrew wanted me to say this, but the name Claude is forever
Yeah.
burned as like Claude code or like this AI. So like we can't take the name Claude seriously anymore. Just wanted to say how that was so different from last season. And in 1 year, things have changed so much.
Yeah, I remember last year you didn't even know how to pronounce his name.
Really?
Yeah, in our episode you're like, Cloud.
Oh yeah. And now Claude.
Claude. Yeah. Crazy how things change in a year.
Yeah. Cloud.
We could go with that pronunciation. That would really keep it different.
Is that Italian enough? I always felt like Claude was not really an Italian name, but I guess it is.
Well, I
Cloud.
don't know if it is because the reason his name is Claude is because in the movie that this show is based on, the woman that plays that character's name is Claudia.
Oh, right. So he could have been Claudio.
Correct. Yeah. Why wasn't he Claudio?
There's some deal going on with Claude Code. They were like, hey man,
They were thinking 2 years into the future.
if they can conceive of La Befana, I wouldn't put it past them. Claude and Danny. Okay. Should we talk about the last couple, Kate and Jack?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's the evolution of Kate and Jack over season 2. So in the spring, Kate is basically trying to get everyone to keep it together for Jack because Jack has had a very rough time. And she's like, everyone, you need to be nice so like Jack can have fun on this trip because otherwise he is very sad and depressed. In the summer, they are realizing that doing their individual things, which they later call freeballing, is actually working out quite well for both of them. So when they have their beds apart, they have the best sleep that they've had in ages. And then when they force them together, it's like they start fighting. It's really bad. And so they're realizing like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's time for us to kind of try to do our own thing and not be on each other's backs and see how that goes for us. By the time autumn rolls around, freeballing has reared its ugly head, and they are realizing that they are now gone too far apart and they're a little weird because of it. And then when they go to Italy in the winter, they finish the marathon together and realize ultimately that they are just two donkeys that need to be with each other, because if you just get one donkey, they'll go insane.
Oh, wait. I didn't realize that those two things connect. Wait, that's so cute.
Yeah, so the episode like icon at the very beginning were two donkeys, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
Mm.
great. Like Anne is finally going to have her two donkeys and have like a donkey TikTok or whatever she wanted to do with the two donkeys for the boat situation." Which I really laughed at. I think Danny was like, "What in the fairy tale fuck is that?" Anyway, so when they finish the marathon, and Kate has like the foil blanket around her, they kind of zoom out and it's Kate and Jack talking to each other, and right next to them is a live nativity scene where there are two donkeys who are just like canoodling with each other.
Cute. Wow. The magic of Tina
The
Fey.
magic of Tina Fey. It's just everything is thought through.
Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, Kate and Jack's storyline was really interesting to me this season. I think it was very clear that Jack was struggling after Nick's death in a way that others weren't. Like, others were obviously sad but able to move on, but he just kept so much of that inside. And I think remembering back to season one, their main conflict in season one was that Jack never handled things in a way. You know what? I'm maybe rescinding most of my complaints about season two, because
Let's go.
I do think the conflicts are different. In season one, the issue was that Kate could never trust Jack to just handle things, and she had to do everything herself. And I think the conflict this season was very different. It was that
Yeah.
he felt like he couldn't be sad or mad, and so he never showed those things to her. And then she felt like he was dragging her down, so then she couldn't be sad or mad because she had to keep them up. And so
Yeah.
like both of them were holding back so much emotion and like really not communicating with each other. Um so I loved the marathon scene. And I loved that. Okay, going back to the first episode, I loved when Kate was like, "That man is an angel that walks among us, and you will not deny him his hike," or whatever. It was so sweet how she's defending him.
Yeah. Also, the fact that he created his little like GoPro video montage with everyone
So cute.
hiking and smiling. I was like, wait, this is actually extremely adorable.
So
And
cute.
then how Tina Fey like saw that and was like, this is what you were working on? And then immediately was like, she's filled with determination, and she like marches out, and Danny's like, that is not the march of someone who thinks that we're all on the same page.
That was so funny. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I loved how defensive she was of him in the beginning of this season, because I did feel that that was very different than season 2. And then they got into their like, let's free ball and stuff, and I was like, guys, why would you think this would work? Like, no. You're married for a reason. Like, you need to solve problems together as a partnership. And that obviously didn't go well. But
Yeah.
then coming back to the end, I loved the marathon scene. I loved that she realized it was a marathon and was like, Jack, you have to do it. And then he was like, okay. And then he did it and she ran the last 3 miles. Also, do you think she was actually running 3 miles when she told Danny that she was at the beginning? No. Okay, so
No.
this is
I mean,
presumably the first three
yeah.
miles she's run in like a year.
Yes. And I think she also admitted to that. I think when they were holed up in the office at the end at the second spring episode,
Oh, that she
he
wasn't
was like,
training.
"What's the first song in our running playlist?" And she was like, "Uh." And then he was like, "Well, what would you do instead about if you were not running?" And then she was like, "I would go to that sandwich place and get an entire pork sandwich and
That's
eat
right.
it."
That's right.
And he was like iconic. And he didn't actually say that, but he's probably thinking it.
Yeah.
So I think what is interesting about Kate's character is in season 1, I felt like she was so quintessentially Tina Fey. I felt like she was Liz Lemon from 30 Rock. She was a like sassy, feisty woman who was like very intelligent, like took no shit, that kind of stuff. But in season 2, I felt like she was really trying to make sure that Jack was having a good time in a way that was a little bit walking on eggshells. And so I really appreciated that there was such a stark difference in Kate's character in season 1 versus season 2. Because in season 1, I was like, okay, this is basically just Tina Fey. But in season 2, I felt like she was actually playing a different person who was like holding
Mm.
her emotions in check, like really trying to like do her best to hold, like to push up Jack because she knew that Jack was having a hard time. And I appreciated that there was like a very different character that we were being shown.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like that too. I Let me see. Yeah, I think it was a natural transition too. It didn't feel like they just changed her character for the sake of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's really sweet.
yeah. And I did get kind of Mrs. Norbury vibes, her character in Mean Girls in season 2 a little bit.
I see that, yeah. I see that too. She went from Liz Lemon to Mrs. Norbury.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, like, going back to the point of, like, a married couple wanting to try their own thing and, like, be independent versus codependent, I actually do think that's kind of realistic. I feel like, especially if you're part of a relationship for that long, like, you want to try and change things up, especially when kids are a little bit older, you wanna try new things and kind of prove to yourself that you're not or that you are simultaneously the same person and not the same person that you were before you had kids, which is a very difficult thing to prove to yourself. And so I think this is like one manifestation about like let me try and do something very different. Like, let me try to run a marathon, or let me try to not be on my husband's back, or like, let me try to suppress my emotions and like try to get my partner to figure things out by themselves instead of like forcing them to figure things out. So I do understand that, but it always, there's always a step too far, which we see and by the time autumn rolls around.
Totally. Also, the not being on my husband's back all the time is exactly what my mom's New Year's resolution was. She was like, "I am not gonna nag anyone anymore." And yeah. She even said she wasn't going to tell people what to do, but she's kind of like gotten around that a little bit by being like, "If I was you, I would blah blah blah." And it's like, "Okay, that's kind of the same thing, mom."
Kind of, but I guess like framing is different, right? It's not like you should do this. It's like if I were you, I would do this, which, you can easily put into the former statement, but I guess it's a little different.
It's a little different. Yeah.
It's
Tone
a
is a little
little the
different.
same, but it's a little different too. Can change overnight.
Yeah, or like she'll be like, "Why don't you blah blah blah?" And
That's
it's
the
like,
same,
yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Okay, anything more on Jack and Kate?
I guess a situational question. If you were Kate and you saw your husband struggling like that, w- like how would you react? I feel like we saw Kate kind of struggle with how to keep Jack happy, but also like let him work through his feelings, but also he felt like he couldn't really show any negative emotions. So, how do you think you would behave as Kate in that situation?
I have been in that situation. Actually, some would say I still am.
Oh,
um, so I guess yappers for some context. I recently moved with not I guess not recently. In the last year, I moved to the Bay Area with my partner, and my partner was in Austin for the last 12 years, and I moved from New York, and we had some ties to the Bay Area. We actually met in the Bay Area, but it's not like my partner had any like permanent, like long lasting friendships like I did in the Bay Area. So it has been a struggle. I feel like in the first 6 months that we moved to the Bay Area, it was a lot of like I I felt responsible for his happiness because I was the one who brought him to the Bay.
Mm.
So I was like, "Oh, you need to like make friends. You need to like reach out to people that you know, even if they're like really intangible connections. You need to like find a doctor, find a dentist, like really get settled." And I felt like I was really on his case about a lot of these things. And I also felt like I wasn't able to express my own negative emotions whenever I was stressed at work, for example, because at the end of the day, it almost felt like comparative happiness. Like, oh, well, you were stressed at work, but like, so am I, but like, you also have a community here and I don't. It's not like he ever, and like, he never said that to me, but it was kind of the narrative that I had in my head about like, you are so well settled here, like, you're not allowed to complain. Um, so I think in that sense, I do relate a lot with Kate's position of I need to be the buoy to make sure that Jack is happy, and kind of like suppress my own emotions. But I think at the end of the day, sometimes you also have to trust that person to lift themselves up as well. And it can't all just be on you to lift that person up.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's about trusting the other person that they will still treat your emotions and where you are with importance, regardless of where they are sometimes. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Gotta take turns.
gotta take turns. Yeah. And everyone's problems are important.
Yeah. And it's not wallowing, it's sharing negative emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was a very deep core conflict with the two of them that I was like, whoa, this hits home.
Mm,
Especially that marathon conversation where Kate is like, I'm just not like that. I'm the buoy. Like, I'm the positive person. I was like, same girl.
yeah. And then when he was like, I can be the buoy too, just give me a chance.
Yeah. Just gotta trust. Gotta
Yeah.
trust in your partner. God,
Also,
I
it was
love Four
funny how
Seasons.
it was so funny how at the end she kept being like, "We just ran a marathon. We just ran a marathon." He was like, "Okay."
Girl, you ran 3 miles.
Also, that
uh,
marathon looked hard as fuck.
oh my God. Yeah.
So hilly.
When they were
Kill
on
me.
the 13-kilometer stop, he was like, I'm halfway there. And she's like, oh,
Oh, babe.
no, you got 20 more miles.
So
Yikes.
unfortunate.
Yeah, rip. Okay, I have another question for you. How do you think Nick's presence would have changed the trajectory of this season?
Great question. Obviously, Anne's storyline would be very different. So I feel like what we were seeing in season one was a lot of either Anne or Nick and Ginny. And
Hmm.
so it probably would have been more of that where we didn't see Anne on every single trip. Definitely not Anne and Ginny. And I mean, I personally loved Nick's character, so I wanted to see more of him, but I did like that they didn't like the friend group didn't have to choose this season.
Hmm.
That Anne was like default there for everything. He's just such a good actor and I loved his character. So I think it would have introduced a lot of really interesting character dynamics and just seeing if his relationship with Ginny really can sustain the test of time. It's now been almost 2 years. Like can it last? Like, is it real or was it just a fling, a rebound after his really long marriage? So I think it would have been interesting to see those dynamics. And then also maybe, reminiscing about old memories with Anne and how his life really was great with Anne for so many years. So yeah, I would have liked to see that. I'm really sad that he died.
Yeah. I wonder how the relationship between him and Ginny would have been, considering Ginny felt extremely overwhelmed with taking care of Gino. So I wonder how Nick would have approached that situation, if he would have approached it the same way Anne did in a very loving manner, or if it was just more like, oh, it's like, Ginny, you have to do all these things. Like, it's pretty obvious. I wonder, like, how they would have put him,
Yeah. Do you
characterized him.
remember in episode 2, I think, when Anne and Ginny have their first heart-to-heart, and Ginny's like, "I never thought I would be doing this alone," and Anne's like, "Men don't really help that much anyway, so."
Yeah. Maybe we would have seen more of a relationship form, like still a relationship form between Ginny and Anne, because Anne would have still helped out with the baby a little bit, but maybe like Nick is not
Would she
really.
have?
Yeah, who
Uh,
knows?
I don't
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think she would have been hanging out with them at all. Like, I don't
Mm.
yeah. I think the only reason she was ever in the same room as Ginny is because Nick was dead.
Well,
We'll never know.
another parallel timeline. Or maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? One thing to touch on is actually Jack's friendship with Nick. So one reason that Jack was kind of taking things a little bit maybe harsher than everyone else is because he was probably Nick's best friend. Um, and so I think Nick's death kind of took a toll on him, maybe more so than other people. And I really liked that one scene at Summer where Kate and Danny are talking to each other and they're like, what is Jack and Mark Brett talking about anyway? Probably like Black Friday sales on 350-inch TVs. And they're like cackling and laughing. And then they actually go to the conversation that Mark Brett is having with Jack. And it's like a very serious, deep conversation talking about their father's expectations of each other, how like male role models have like showed up in their lives, how Jack was like taking the death of Nick and how it's actually very hard to talk about it because no one really understands what he's going through. And I was like, this is so hilarious, but also so sad because I feel like it touches on the whole male loneliness epidemic
Absolutely.
and how people like don't really think that men can talk about their feelings. But here, Jack and Mark Brett are like having a super deep conversation, even though they only met like that day.
Yeah, I loved that scene so much. And I don't think most men would have that conversation, to be
That's fair.
clear. Like, I think Jack is a very special character. And he, he's like seeking out ways to talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe
but yeah,
highlights how Kate has kind of a or like doesn't trust Jack to be able to talk about his feelings in an intellectual way or like articulate his feelings to someone. And
yeah,
because she doesn't trust him to do that, he doesn't do it. And
yeah,
then he has to find other outlets like Mark Brett.
yeah. Yeah. Also that reminds me of I think it's the first Italy episode when she and Jack try to have a romantic dinner, but then she's like, "Can we just like have a nice dinner?"
Oh
And
my
he's like,
God, yeah.
"What? What did I say?" Yeah, that was really sad. I was like,
Yeah.
he's just trying to express himself.
And then when they were running the marathon, he was like, you asked a violinist to play over my feelings. I was like, she
Literally.
did do that. She
She
did do
really
that.
did. She really did. um But yeah, going back to that beach scene, it was so good. Also, have you heard that um theory I don't know if it's a theory. I don't know if you'd call it a theory or a phenomenon where like women have conversations around a table facing each other, but men have conversations sitting next to each other, like either at a sports bar or like watching TV or something. And so when you're facing each other, it's much easier to have emotionally vulnerable conversations and like actually connect. But then when you're facing a TV, as like men typically do, playing video games or whatever, they like always need a reason to hang out with each other and it's never to talk.
Mm,
Versus women like get together specifically to talk. So I thought
mm.
it was an interesting play on that where like, yeah, Kate and Danny were like joking about 350-inch TVs, blah blah blah, but then like yeah, they were having such an emotionally deep conversation.
Yeah, and I will say Kate and Danny were also sitting next to each other, although
That's
they weren't
true.
having a deep conversation, but
They were all facing the ocean.
yeah. That's fair. Okay, as someone who is a little bit awkward, I will say I also find it easier to talk to someone or have an emotional conversation with someone when I'm not constantly staring at their eyes. Um, and I think that's because, well, one, there's like this study that says like when the human brain is like looking at a face, there's like so many neurons that are firing because we've just evolutionarily evolved to like recognize a face
Mm.
because it means safety and everything. So, like, if we're looking at our face, our brains are like, it's a face, it's a face, it's a human face. Like, neurons are firing like crazy. And so, I think from that lens, I'm like, this is why it's hard to make eye contact with people while also like trying to articulate my feelings. That's how I rationalize it to myself.
Interesting. Huh. Did you ever feel that way in therapy?
I think sometimes, yeah, or as in like but like even with therapy, I would never it wouldn't be like an in-person conversation. It was always like virtual like
Oh.
this. So with the virtual stuff is it was easy for me to like just like cast my eyes or like look at something else while I tried to think about how I wanted to talk about my feelings and
Mm.
then explain those feelings to my
Mm.
therapist.
Interesting. I will say I do think better and like I can pull thoughts together much easier if I'm looking up and to the right for some reason. So I
Yeah.
I do that a lot. I'm like, blah 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 blah.
I think I look up and to the left.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Huh.
I wonder
To
if
my
there's
right is a window where I can see the sky, but to my left is just a corner. So maybe that's why I look to the right.
oh, there's, like, nothing on my right, I guess.
Oh.
And then I don't know.
There's
I
nothing
don't
on
know
my
why
left either.
yeah, there's nothing there really isn't. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wonder if there's some
Interesting.
science. Maybe it's, like, about handedness because 'cause I'm left-handed, so maybe that's why I, like, look to the left.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Huh.
That could be it. Anyway, yeah,
Interesting.
okay.
Cool. Okay.
Um,
I have a question. Why do you think Kate was so upset at Danny for moving to Italy? It seemed like a very logical decision for him and Claude to do. I didn't really understand where that conflict came from.
that is a good question. My theory is that it was a buildup of Kate not being able to talk about her emotions and process Nick's death for herself.
Mm.
In addition to another friend leaving her.
Mm.
And also, I think Kate's best friend in the group is Danny.
Yeah.
So it's not even just another friend, it's like her best friend that she has been friends with since college.
Mm. Okay. That
And
makes
just
sense.
being, yeah, just like having to suppress all those emotions just while they were freeballing, it just felt like she couldn't talk to anyone, which made her
Yeah.
even sadder. And that's why she was just in her room sobbing.
Okay, so it was like misplaced sadness over losing yet another friend and feeling like she's losing the one outlet she had.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say misplaced. I think it's like a combination of things just building up on each other.
Mm. Okay. Okay, I can see that. It just didn't make like I would have understood if she was like so sad that Danny was leaving, but she was mad. And that didn't really make sense to me. But like maybe yeah. So I that's why I was thinking it was like misplaced frustration about like not having an outlet, but like
Mm.
it's not really Danny's fault, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder if it was also related to the fact that they were they have this pattern of going back and forth on major decisions.
Mm.
And I think this was yet another thing where they were like, are they going to go through with it? Are they not?
Mm.
Why would you do this to me if you're not, if you're going to like renege 6 months after that? I'm not sure. Maybe that was a part of it.
Yeah, or maybe she was upset that like of all the things you don't go back on, why did it have to be leaving me?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
true.
I could see that. I
So
could
like
see
by the
that.
time winter rolled around, she was just like mad.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? You actually did it, but this is the thing you decide to do out of all the
Yeah.
things? Yeah.
Out of all the things that you tried to do and didn't pan out, this is the one that is panning out. That's
Yeah.
annoying.
I could see that.
Yeah. Oh.
That episode or that set of episodes made me really want to go back to Italy.
Yeah, me too. I was like, can we go to Italy during
Yeah.
Christmas time? I want to go see these Christmas
The
markets.
market looked so
It's
fun.
very
Oh, I
cute.
miss Christmas markets.
Yeah. Nothing like a good old European Christmas market
Yeah.
featuring La Befana.
Did they say what town that was in Italy?
No, they didn't. But the
Okay.
marathon was
Oh yeah, it said
Trenton,
yeah,
New
Trenton, New
Jersey.
Jersey. Trenton. Trenton, Italy. Trento. There's a Trento. It
Oh.
is far in the north. Makes sense because it was snowy. Um, it is close to Venice. I would say it's in the like foothills, if not in the Dolomites, near Verona and Venice. Those are the two biggest cities near it.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah. I want to go.
So want to go. Trento is one of the nation's wealthiest and most prosperous cities.
Ooh, damn. Okay. Claus family's rich.
Well, I think that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, true.
I love that back and forth with Danny and Kate where he was like, "Oh, the outside is metalwork by 15th century monks." And she was like, "The exterior of my house is by siding by Randy."
So funny.
Okay, I actually have one more clarifying question for you. I don't know if you did any research on this, but in the summer episode, Anne and Ginny are talking about gray gardening or gray gardens or having like a codependent relationship, and there's like
Mm,
this thing that they keep mentioning, which is gray gardens. What is gray gardens and what is the reference here?
great question. I have no idea. Okay, it's a film, 1975 film, documentary film. Grey Gardens is the name of a famous 14-room mansion in East Hampton, New York, and the title of a celebrated 1975 documentary film. It chronicles the lives of the eccentric, reclusive mother and daughter who lived there, Edith and Edie Beale. Oh, you know what? They watched this in Gilmore Girls.
Oh.
There's an episode where it's like young Edie and old Edie. So Lorelai and Rory are watching Grey Gardens, presumably, and like young Edie and old Edie are just like being eccentric and weird and like singing and stuff. And then um Lorelai's like, add a few years and that's us. And then Rory's like, yeah. And then the episode starts. That's the cold open of the episode.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that's what the Grey Garden is like Anne and Ginny did not want to grow old into young Edie and old Edie.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good to know.
Cool.
Great. Figure that out. Okay, so going back to our very first question, do you think season 2 did justice to our cast of characters, considering what happened in season 1?
I do think so. Yeah, it was good. I think my complaints, aside from Jenny and Anne, like the likelihood of Jenny and Anne being friends, we have mostly dispelled those complaints. So, yeah, I'm satisfied. I think it did season 2. I think season 2 did justice to the series. And I mean, let's be real. I will watch the hell out of season 3.
What are your predictions for season 3?
Okay, I hope we see more David Tennant
Mm-hmm. Gian
because I
Piero.
love Gian Piero. I hope we see more Nick flashbacks. Let's see. I I think I want more of both of those things and less of like Kate and Jack conflict and less of Claude and Danny conflict. I think I'm like good with those two, you know? So I hope they focus more on the new characters.
I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, I'm curious. Well, one, I really hope that there is a season 3. And two, I'm excited to see what different conflicts that plague our cast of characters in their, what, like late 50s, I guess they are.
Let's see. So their
50s?
kids are in college. So I think that if we add, let's say, 30 years, it's like their early 50s, I think.
Early 50s.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't wait to see what additional conflicts arise. It sounds like they are going to be dealing with parents getting older
Mm,
and not being able to take care of themselves. They're going to be dealing with that, or Danny and Claude will be dealing with that. So that's an interesting thing to think about, like how your parent or how your partner deals with your parent in their old age.
mm-hmm.
Not a
Yeah.
well-told story.
No. No. Yeah, not commonly told. Not commonly talked about.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be
So could be
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Mm,
And maybe Anne is about an old dog learning new tricks,
yeah. More of
new
her
life
life
in
in
Italy.
Italy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
Should we do ratings?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Um,
I
do we
can
do
go
10
first
out
because
of
I
10?
think it's up to you. I was gonna say I could go first because I feel like yours is maybe a little bit more ambiguous than mine.
Okay, yeah, you go.
Okay, I would say quality 5 out of 5, enjoyment 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Every time I watch this show, it's just I love the humor, I love the depth, I love the characters. I just love everything about it. The storytelling, fantastic. 10 out of 10.
All right, you're so right. 10 out of 10.
Even in spite of the Ginny and Anne thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's enough to really pull it down from a 5 because I was itching to watch the next episode. I loved the cast. I loved seeing all of the places they went on vacation. I loved the Nick backstory. Yeah, just I really liked it. I would have liked to see more of their relationship with their kids, I think.
That's
We like
true.
barely saw the kids.
There wasn't a lot with the kids
Yeah.
this season. Yeah, anytime that they were like unpacking their suitcases, I'm like, where are the kids? But I
Yeah.
guess they're old enough to not care.
All out of the house. Yeah.
Yeah, gone. Well,
Well, all right.
binge in
Binge in
progress.
progress. Um, my sister and I are watching this show on Netflix called Funny AF with Kevin Hart.
Hmm.
It's a stand-up comedy competition that Kevin Hart is hosting, and uh he kind of pulls comics from various cities around the country, and it's like a competition show, so every round a few of them get eliminated. But anyway, it's really good. Once you get through the first 3 episodes where the talent is kind of a mixed bag, and once you get into the top people, it's so funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that is different from the roast of Kevin Hart, right?
Correct, which also
Okay.
just came out on Netflix. Yeah, very, very confusing. Um,
Okay, I see. Yeah, I think I had seen both of them at some point, and I was like, is this the same? I'm not sure. Good to know.
I am reading a book called My Friends by Frederick Bachman, who wrote Anxious People, and it's really good. So I highly
Oh,
recommend it.
you know how I feel about Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. Love that book.
So good.
I am also binging books. I've finished the Red Rising series. I read all 3 books. Just recently finished Morningstar. I'm happy to have finished it.
Interesting.
In a good way, not in like a I'm glad that's over.
Okay. Okay.
Um yeah, I the second book was definitely the worst for me. I think it
I
went
see.
probably 1, 3, 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't think it was anything like groundbreaking for me, to be honest.
Fair. I thought
Yeah.
the first one was kind of groundbreaking, and then I haven't read the 2 or 3, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think if I were to summarize the series, it would be you've got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, but just make sure that you're making an omelet.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not just cracking eggs to throw them away.
In this economy?
And then what else am I reading? I started reading Margot's Got Money Troubles.
Oh, yay!
Yeah,
So
and
good.
I haven't listened to your episode yet because I want to read the book first and I don't want spoilers.
So fair.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read the book and watch.
Yay.
And hopefully I can stay on top of it without having watched it. Should be okay. Should be fine. Great.
Nice.
Oh, and
Great.
also Deli Boys.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I binged that this morning.
Duh. All right. Well,
All right.
thanks for yapping with us.
See you next time. Thanks for yapping with us. If you loved this episode, have some hot takes we missed, or if you've got a show you're dying for us to binge next, follow us on socials. We're at Binge Yap Repeat.
Until next time, happy binging.